For decades, public interest centered on a singular, mythical Epstein client list. In the absence of official records, internet rumors defined the narrative. This lack of information was a policy choice. It was the result of a specific legal shield constructed by the Department of Justice in 2008. As detailed in a later DOJ oversight report, U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta authorized a secret non-prosecution agreement that effectively ended the federal investigation into Epstein's network. The deal was heavily lopsided. Epstein served only 13 months on a work release program, while the agreement granted a total immunity from prosecution to his potential co-conspirators. By keeping the agreement under seal, the government prevented victims from knowing the terms of the deal, a move a federal judge later identified as a violation of the Crime Victims' Rights Act. That silence ended between 2024 and 2026. A wave of civil litigation and a new transparency law forced the release of approximately 3.5 million pages of internal files. These millions of pages have moved the case into a new phase. The sheer volume of raw data now requires a level of forensic analysis typically reserved for intelligence agencies. Processing the archive begins with official federal court dockets, the most verifiable baseline of the investigation. The unsealing process accelerated in January 2024, when a judge released thousands of pages from a prior defamation case against Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. These releases provided the first look at sworn depositions and witness interviews, giving investigators a list of names and flight logs that had been under seal for years. Because these documents were produced as part of formal litigation, they provided a verified starting point for identifying his inner circle. But these court records only tell the story of what was argued in a room. To see the scale of his reach, researchers had to look at his unencrypted digital history. Beyond the courtroom, investigators began focusing on Epstein's personal communications, specifically his contact directories and his private email accounts. In September 2025, Bloomberg News verified a cache of 18,700 emails from Epstein's personal Yahoo account, covering nearly 2 decades of correspondence. Data experts used metadata analysis and cryptographic checks to prove the communications were authentic, confirming that the timestamps and headers remained unaltered. By mapping the frequency of these messages, researchers identified clusters of recurring contacts that included tech billionaires, prominent academics, and global politicians. This data allowed analysts to cross-reference his inbox with flight logs, creating a verifiable map of how frequently these leaders interacted with Epstein's operations over time. The largest wave of data arrived in January 2026, when the DOJ released its final cache of internal documents in compliance with a congressional mandate. The release was immediately controversial. Reports surfaced that Attorney General Pam Bondi had pressured the FBI to flag every record that mentioned the president before its release. This political pressure resulted in a rushed, disorganized data dump that bypassed standard review protocols. Users discovered the digital redactions were faulty. The text behind the black bars could be revealed by copying and pasting it. This technical catastrophe exposed the names and home addresses of dozens of victims, including several minors. The government's attempt to control the disclosure failed. Instead of a managed release, the raw, sensitive records were now fully accessible to the public. This digital archive is now fueling physical law enforcement actions around the world. In New Mexico, state prosecutors used the unsealed records to execute new search warrants at the Zorro Ranch, searching for physical evidence of past trafficking. In the UK, police launched a criminal investigation into Peter Mandelson after the files revealed he allegedly leaked government plans to Epstein. In Norway, former Prime Minister Thorbjorn Jagland was charged with corruption based on ties documented in the newly unsealed emails. The fallout reached the highest levels of the British monarchy, leading to the arrest of the former Prince Andrew for suspected misconduct in public office. These files demonstrate the power of raw data. A story that was successfully buried in a 2008 courtroom has now, 16 years later, been reconstructed through the archive,